Hello and welcome back to Master Gardening. I'm your host Bud Qualk, and you'll never guess what we're going to talk about today. And they're edible too. We're here at Outside In Daylilies with Valerie Vowell-Canup, and guess what we're going to talk about today? Tammy is going to be daylilies. So you have 2,000 varieties here?
Approximately.
Yeah, I can tell it. All up and down the road and back here. And she's got wonderful other gardens too we might have a chance to look at later. But we're going to talk about daylilies mostly. And with all the different varieties, you even propagate daylilies?
Yes.
Okay, I've never tried that. I'm a propagation enthusiast, but I've never done daylilies. So, how long have you been doing this?
About 20 years.
Only 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you've been in the business or just doing it on your own at home?
I have been collecting them about 20 years and working with them. I worked with my ex-father and mother-in-law who had a nursery, and they bought one in Oregon, and I bought out their place here.
So are most of these you propagated, or most of these were bought individually?
No, most
somewhere?
of these are bought. None of these are all named introduced varieties that are out here.
Okay, we'll look at some of those other ones a little later on.
Okay.
And it's just coming on. Most of these are just starting to bloom, and you've got all the buds.
Mm-hmm.
The buds that are getting ready to burst open. And daylilies, do they just last one day, really?
They're called Beauty for a Day. That's
Beauty for a Day?
Hemerocallis, the American Hemerocallis Society is the daylily group, and Hemerocallis comes from the Greek. It means beauty for a day.
Oh, okay.
So
I learned something there.
Yeah.
Now, I saw a show on daylilies once where the woman, and I don't know how she found the time, but she went around every day and picked off all the blooms before they went bad.
Right.
Then she'd have a big, huge barrel of baskets of these blooms, just beautiful blooms.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost sad to see her picking them, but they were going to be gone tomorrow anyway, right?
Right. And a lot of people deadhead. If you can do it if you want to, I like to kind of go through and clean up, but sometimes once you start propagating, once you start crossing, you're going to hang a tag on it, and you don't want to cut off that spent bloom because your seed pod's going to form right there.
Okay, yeah, I've
So,
seen the seed pods. But it looks a lot better to do that, but in something like a garden like what you've got, you spend your whole time deadheading if that was what you were going to do, right?
some days I do, and some days I don't. Some days I just go, oh, you just look wonderful, and we don't look at the other stuff. It's all pretty.
Well, I've got a few, and I don't take the time to deadhead either, unless I'm just happen to be in that part of the garden, just walking around. I might grab a bunch of them, you know, and it really looks a lot better. But you really don't have to do that. It's one of the things. They'll fall off sooner or later anyway.
They'll
right?
fall off pretty quick.
And you usually get how many on a stem? You get 3 or 4 or 5, 6?
It's different from plant to plant. Some are what they call extended bloomers, and they'll have a scape that comes up that will just absolutely be covered in buds, like these.
Oh my! Look at
and
all
just
those on
keep
there.
coming on. And then some of them will rebloom, and they won't have as many buds, but once they bloom, they'll go down, and then they'll bloom again.
8, 10 different ones on that one stalk. Oh my goodness. Are there certain colors that you can't find in daylilies?
You can't find a true white, and you can't find a true blue.
Okay,
And
true blue.
And there
Purple,
are
but not
people,
blue.
yeah, and there are people who say, oh, I want a solid color of this or that. I just want a solid red, or I just want a solid purple, and you're not going to get it. The white that's the closest to white has a yellow throat. The red has a yellow throat. And
Yeah, a lot of yellow throats around
so,
here.
or green, but there's not a truly solid color.
Yeah.
You can get close, but not quite.
How many different varieties are there? 100,000 maybe?
Somewhere right in there now with the way they're breeding and introducing.
They're one of the favorite breeder choices in flowers, I think.
Oh,
That
yeah.
and roses.
Yeah, because it's
daylilies. You see some different new ones every year.
it's just too easy. Although there are a lot of people out there doing it now, and just cross it, and the first thing that comes up, oh yeah, that's good. They don't, oh, I'm going to introduce that, and it is their baby, and that's all right. But when you're crossing for different traits. Like these have the eyes and the edges, and you want to cross.
Mind if I pick that?
Not a bit. You want to cross to get a better eye and an edge, and maybe a different color. That one has that picote.
Oh my goodness! Look at the edges on that.
And then some of them have the gold edge. Let's see. Got
That
one
back
right
there, all the way back there.
Right here.
Pick one of
I'm
those
gonna
off
bring
for
it
me.
to you.
Oh my! Look at this! Look at that! Look at that! And that's look how huge that thing is.
This one has the gold edge, the pie crust edge.
Oh my! Now, what part of the flower is this in the middle for some of our viewers? What
That's the pistil and the stamen and the throat.
in the throat?
These are for crossing.
Okay, we'll show how to do that a little later
Uh-huh.
on. Okay. Okay. Gosh Almighty! Look at that. We picked a good day, didn't we? Well, let's go around over the front and look at some of those over there. Some of those over
Okay.
there are the ones you crossed, maybe.
There's a few, and then there's some that my father-in-law crossed when we had the nursery over here. Well, all of us did. We don't know who gets the credit for it because we were all out there
You know, put
crossing.
your name on it. Okay, Valerie. We got Charlie Turnbow with us. He is the extreme expert on what we're planning to do right here, right now. Right. This is called sexual propagation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna do what and what.
We're going to cross. We're going to take the pistil out of this one, and we're going to cross it with this red.
Okay.
And
Is
it's
that simple?
It's just this simple. When you're doing it and you're wanting to keep track, it's always good to write down the names of the plant you're crossing, the names of them,
Mm-hmm.
and hang a tag on there once it's crossed. And if a seed pod forms, then you know who this is when you go to plant it out.
So you took the male to the female, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Charlie, is that the way you do it?
The way it's done.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a difference when you're crossing daylilies because there are two kinds. There are diploids and tetraploids.
Tetraploids.
They have double
Are we
the
allowed to say that on
chromosomes.
TV, Tammy?
They have double the chromosomes, and those two won't intercross.
Okay.
So
How can you
it's
tell the
good
difference?
well, the names
The
tell
names?
you
Okay.
if it's a
Texture.
diploid or a tetraploid. Texture doesn't always tell because some of the diploids are thicker, but by the name you can find out who the propagator is and what it is. It's always good to go through, and you want to cross for certain traits anyway, so you make your list of who you want to cross.
All right. Now this one right here is the rest of these aren't the same then, or are they?
Yes,
the whole
this
plant
is
the
all
same?
the same plant.
So when you did that affects the whole plant?
No, just this one,
just this
and,
one
and just
part.
the seed pod. The seed pod will be different.
Okay. You'd want to make sure you remembered which one it was. And,
Right,
and
you'd want to hang a tag on it.
after all these thousands and thousands of daylilies we've got here. Okay, now that's sexual propagation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's go into the one that most of us use, the division.
Division.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's go over here to this one over here. All right, this is a beautiful one here. Is this one you can buy in a store? Tell the listeners.
No, this is one we've crossed that we haven't introduced yet.
Oh my goodness.
And
this
so-
is one of a kind.
Yes,
Oh my.
one
Can I have
one
some
clump
to
of
take
a
home?
kind. Yes, and I'll show you
Okay.
how we
Yeah,
divide it.
So this is the way most people do it, Tammy. It's called division.
This is how most people get a new one. And I'm just going to divide off one fan, although when we sell them, we usually do a 2-fan division. This is a
Okay.
fan.
You're cutting that away from the mother plant, right? Goes down pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
The deeper the better, probably. You cut it off shallow
Actually,
to the
it's
ground,
very-
you're probably going to lose a lot of root.
Right,
right?
and you want to get good root with it.
Oh my, that looks good.
And ideally, when you divide them, you trim back the fans. And
Now that one's blooming. Is it okay to do it while
plant
it's
'em at-
blooming?
Yes, we
Doesn't mind
dig
at all.
them all year long, and they do just fine.
Oh my goodness.
Water them and feed them, and they'll just go to town.
So if I put that in my yard tonight, it'll still look like that?
And generally, what we do,
It'll
and,
still look good tomorrow morning?
will you get that out? One of those green tags?
You haven't decided on a name for this one, right?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Let's see. What would be a good name? Maybe Bud's Buddies or something like that?
That might work.
I don't know if that would sell or not.
And give me a pin out of there.
Now this one, after how long will it take to become this big, you think?
Probably not that long because I've dug off of this one for several years and put it at several different places. So it's pretty prolific, which makes it a good candidate to introduce.
Okay.
It's strong, it's got a good bud count, nice looking, so.
Yeah, there's about 8 buds on there, looks like. That'll look good in my yard.
And it does rebloom.
Let me do that.
So we'll put.
Is this one of Charlie's or yours, or you don't know?
This is one that when we were all crossing, so it's all of us. But we call
Teamwork?
it. Yeah. We'll call it Bud's Buddy.
Okay. Just temporarily till Bud leaves, maybe, okay? I've never had a daylily that didn't have a name to it.
That way, you'll know who the filly is.
Yeah. That's got is that called a yellow throat or a green throat in there?
That's more yellow.
More yellow. Okay. Okay. All right.
See, that one's more green.
Charlie, can you hold that for us? Okay. All right. So I thought maybe you might have a special dark room where you have all these hormone things and stuff where you do all your property. You do it right out here in the field.
Right out here in the field.
Okay.
No, they don't need privacy.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay then. All right. Can we just walk around here and talk about your garden for a second? You've got all these. This is just one of what, about 4 or 5 big beds you've got? Yes,
and the thing about it is people come out here and they think what they're going to find when you tell them daylilies and they get talked into coming with one of their friends is those orange ditch lilies across the road.
Yeah.
They come out here and they're so surprised that they're all different colors, all different sizes, doubles, spiders.
Those are little tiny ones right there. Yeah, those are really pretty.
Fairy firecracker.
You get those are called firecrackers?
Fairy firecracker.
Fairy firecrackers. Okay.
And they come in every color.
Let's get a walk. Let's walk into one of your other beds over here.
Okay.
Valerie, we're at one of your other smaller beds, but there's such a variety in here. Let's pick a couple of these, and I got some questions I need to ask you. Okay, let me hold that one. How about getting that pink one? That doesn't have a what do you call it, eye?
No.
Okay.
It's just a solid color.
And here, oh, I love this one. It's almost, it makes you feel bad picking these things off of there like that. Okay, let's talk about that one first. It's got like streaks in it.
And it has the iridescence. It has what they call the diamond dusting.
Which
makes it unique.
Oh my. What part of that's the diamond dusting you're talking about?
You see that iridescence?
Okay, yeah, it's kind of fluorescent iridescent. Okay. And this one, very pronounced center, that's the eye? Throat.
That's the throat.
Throat. I'll get it right. And the ruffling, some have ruffles and some don't. This is really ruffled over here. And then this one's got like a whooshed out.
It's got a watermark.
Watermark.
Instead of an eye, because the colors bleed together.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting old. It's old or something. And this one's really an unusual one here. Explain to me what that is.
That's a spider. It's it's an unusual form.
Here's another one right here. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just busted it. I think that's.
We put them together and we
you got one.
Really interesting spider.
Okay, you got one then. And then here's one right here. Let's look at this one. It's a little bit smaller. You've got different sizes, right?
Right. They're all different sizes. They come from a little over 2 inches to some of them are 10 inches in diameter. The blooms.
Are they fragrant? Can you smell them?
Some are fragrant. I think the yellows tend to be more fragrant, but they say that all different colors they're introduced as fragrant. It depends on the it depends on the flower and the hybridizer. You have pollen all over.
I got pollen. Tammy's got it all over there. We need to get a picture of that. I got it on my nose, don't I? That's part of it, I guess. That's if you're going to be a hybridizer, you're going to get pollen on you, right? Right? My bees, I've got bees, and they would love this. They would love this.
They like it out here.
Yeah, you see them a lot of times, honeybees.
Oh,
Anybody got honeybees close by?
No, nobody has them close by.
Okay.
But
they need to.
Yeah.
Okay, now look at your labels. Let me pick one of these up. It's falling down. Your labels, I've never found a label that worked, but you got these from, where'd you get these at?
McCour's, and they're out of Oregon.
And what kind of material do you use to write on them? Is there a special pen?
They have pens that they sell too, with gardening pens that they hold up a little bit longer than just what you can get from the store.
Well, I tell you, gardeners are always looking for some good type of label. I use popsicle sticks, and they last about 6 months, and that's it. But
these are labeled with just the name, because they're not really ready to sell yet. This is a newer bed, and there's not as many of them. Over there, they have the name. They have when they bloom, early, mid,
all that good stuff.
Whether they rebloom, and then they have the price on them, and that's how people pick out the ones they want.
You just said a magic word, rebloom. Daylilies rebloom?
Yes.
Okay, now tell me about that. They don't all rebloom, right?
Not all of them. Some of them are an extended bloom, so they bloom a long time, and then they're done for the season. Some bloom and then rest and then bloom. One of the most famous ones is the Stella, and people think that it blooms continuously, and it's not continuously blooming. It is continuously throwing up new stalks the thicker it gets, and so it seems like it's blooming all summer long, from early spring to in the fall when the first cold hits.
Now do you need the deadheading to make it bloom more, or?
On some that just rebloom a little bit, generally after they bloom the first time, I will go ahead and cut everything back. I won't let them support a seed head or anything.
Now you're talking about the stalk, not the leaves, the stalk all the way back.
I will cut the leaves back too.
Leaves too?
And I will feed them and keep them watered, and I'll get more bloom out of them, sometimes 3 times.
Cut it all the way back to what, about an inch of
Well, you can see how some of these are cut back. I'll just cut them.
Well, you just cut them back about half or a third.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
take the stalk
stimulates them to send up new stalks.
Right.
Well,
I learned
something today.
As long as they're fed and watered, they need that too.
Cut them back, fertilize them, and water them. Okay.
And you'll get more bloom time out of them.
I'm gonna go home and do mine right now.
Okay.
Okay. I think you've got a lot of other flowers here besides daylilies, and I'm really interested to go over and talk about some of them because I don't know what some of them are. Let's go over there to your other part of your garden. Valerie, when you picked that was really special, and we got all these other flowers along with your daylilies. But how do you keep the daylilies straight? I know they got the labels, but you know the labels fall off. You said you had another way to keep them straight.
Each bed has a name, and I do a master list. When I line them out, I stick the tags in, but there's also a green tag that I put in with them that's down in the ground. And the name doesn't fall off of it. So if you lose the tag, you've either got a master list or you've got a buried
When you dig it
tag.
up, you can see what it was.
Right.
So you got a list like front row, left to right, second row.
And which bed it is. Each bed has a name.
What's this bed's name?
This is the button bed.
Button bed?
The button bed, because this used to be where my goat was.
Button. Okay. And what's the name of that one? You said
this is called Spartacus Adorned, and it is just a gorgeous.
Oh, it is. It's got some good looking stamen.
Yeah,
and this, you don't know what this one is, probably.
Yeah, that's.
Got a name on it.
Yeah, it's sea urchin.
Sea urchin.
And it's
That
because
reminds me
of
of
that
Tammy.
spiny. See, that one doesn't have that pie crust edge. It has that spiny edge.
Spiny edge. That's called a spiny edge. I would have never known. Okay, everything in your garden is for sale, and I see you've got a bunch of peonies here. They've already bloomed already this year, and the Helleborus, right?
Right.
What do you say, Lenten rose?
Yes.
And this is peonies, and you've got a bunch of different kinds, a bunch of different varieties. They've already spent. But what about this blue one right here? And I've got this in my yard, but I can't remember what it is.
That's larkspur.
Larkspur.
And it's an annual, but it reseeds and comes back every year.
So it's a lot like a perennial, it's just
Yes.
it reseeds. I've got a bunch of them like that. Okay. And you've got, again, I already said this, but everything in here is for sale. Lots and lots of perennials. This is a crepe myrtle.
Yes, that's a volunteer that'll have to be moved this fall.
Neat volunteer though, you know.
Yes, they're
It's
wonderful.
a good size, perfect shape. Yeah, I like the red tips. Really good color. Do yours die back all the way to the ground each year, or do they make it sometimes?
Pretty much every year they die back, unless they're in a protected spot, and mostly they haven't been. here.
You know,
So
mine are just exactly the opposite. Almost all mine make it now. Yeah, so. Okay, and this bush over here is one of my favorites.
yes,
Bud
a
Leah?
butterfly bush.
Butterfly bush, Buddleia. And look at all that new growth on there, but this is, did you cut it back or not?
I trimmed it all the way back. All that's
Okay.
this year.
Oh my goodness. You didn't go all the way back down to the ground though?
I went about
Halfway?
back
Okay.
because it was overtaking everything.
Okay, well it's just growing fast. You've got like a
Yeah.
foot to 2 feet on each one of those. And back here, this is just getting started blooming.
Mhm.
That is
A black hollyhock.
black. This looks purple, but it's almost all the way black, yeah. And then
Cannas.
cannas. And these are getting ready to stick up a stalk. I tell you, we've got all kind of stuff, and there's a bunch more on the other side of the pergola. Let's go up to the
Yes.
pergola and see what we got up. See what you've got up there. So Valerie, you've got a lot of hostas in here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of varieties. Some big ones, some small ones. Some
Mhm.
variegated, some not. And this one over here is blooming. This purple one over here, Dan.
Mhm.
Can you get that? They're just starting to bloom. Now I've got some that bloom really late, and they have huge white blooms on them. Have you got some of those? Have you ever seen those? They smell, the aroma is so much greater than any of the other. No?
Some of them do and some of them don't. It's just, you know, a lot of times I cut the blooms. I don't like the blooms as much as I do the foliage in the background.
I see that all the time. People cut those blooms off. They don't like the stalks.
Well, it also helps them thicken up faster.
Oh, okay. Mine are pretty thick, so I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Now this is a
Calla lily.
calla.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are really expensive. You want to buy one of those bulbs, and they come from like a bulb or a corm, and they're about, sometimes they get $3 or $4 for one. One, especially the colors. You know, white's easier to get, but the colors.
Mm-hmm.
My mother used to have these all the time, and are they just starting to bloom, or have they already bloomed?
They're already bloomed.
And
they're
can you remember what
finished.
that is?
That's spiderwort.
Spiderwort. Okay, all right. Look at the size of this ball over here. I like yard art. You catch it? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
It's metal. It won't break.
Okay, now, and what
It's
do you
bud-proof.
No, Tammy, there's nothing bud-proof. What do you call this plant right here?
It doesn't matter. It won't come anywhere.
Oh, she got me. It's supposed to be the dog with no legs, right? It won't come anyway. Okay. So, but what is it really called?
That's Mexican top hat.
I don't have one of those.
It's an annual, and it's just reseeded itself. I started it
Pull
from
it
a.
off of there, yeah. That's really neat. It looks like a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And this down here, this is, I've seen that, but I don't really know what that is.
It's a geranium, a hardy geranium.
Hardy, so you don't take it in the wintertime?
No,
okay.
no,
It kind of spreads, or?
It spreads. It's very prolific and propagates itself well. I'm really pleased with
It
it.
jumped the path over there,
Yes,
Dan.
it did.
You got to be careful of those kind. Now these big things right here, we call these verbena on a stick. Very, very popular. But you said they were what?
I've heard them called status.
And the stem is square. Tammy, do you know what that means when there's square stems? The mint family. They're in the mint family. If you find any mint, it's all got a square stem, which is kind of unusual. You know, if you think about stems, they're almost always round. Okay, well let's go back over here in the sunshine. We're about done with this garden. Let's head over here to the side over here.
Okay.
Val. There's a bunch of neat plants in here. First of all, what is that?
That is a loose strife.
Loose stripe. So is that the stuff that really spreads fast? Or you got to be careful with it?
Yes, as you can
Okay.
see.
Yeah, okay. As long as you keep it corralled.
Mm-hmm.
And then this stuff down in here.
Is violet. Which
Oh, those
also,
are wild violets?
Yes.
I've got a bunch of those in my yard, but they aren't that big. Mine are just little tiny things. Okay, now this is really interesting over here. This is
bronze fennel.
bronze fennel. And Dan, can you get that little baby right there? Can you see that worm right there? Caterpillar. Your parsleys, your fennels, your dills, those type things, they attract these. This is a butterfly in the stage of a caterpillar. You plant these plants, believe it or not, for the butterflies, because that attracts the eggs and the caterpillars, and then they turn into butterflies. So actually, these don't have blooms, but I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, that's
I'm
wonderful.
a big butterfly lover. Okay,
Yeah.
and they're a propagator and a pollinator and all that stuff. There's another herb right here. Is that marjoram?
That's rue.
Rue. Okay. I've got some of that at my house, and they call it marjoram for 3 years. Okay. And then this is your butterfly bush again. Okay. And what are these big purple
Alum.
flowers over here? And look at there. There's a bee on it right there.
Having a
pollinating
big
that. Isn't that
time.
neat? Tammy, we're lucky today. That's great. And what is that? An alum, but it's
It's
just
it's
a
an herb.
purple alum. Okay, it's like in the onion family. Oh, is that's garlic. Is that garlic?
No,
No?
no, that's alum.
Okay. My garlic plants look like this, except
They're
this
similar.
is more white. Yeah. Big elephant garlic at the bottom. That's not that though. Okay. Well, I get some of that at my house, and then this right in here. This looks like lamb's ear until it shoots up this stalk.
And that bright pink flower, it's
Right.
called rose campion.
Rose campion. That'll be a hard one. I won't remember that one. Rose campion. And then a couple more. Got time for a couple more. This is a herb also.
That's a variegated artemisia.
Artemisia.
It can be very invasive.
Okay.
So,
Now this, before we forget it, this is a volunteer. That plant.
yes, it's
And what's a volunteer?
my mom used to call them bird blessings.
So the bird eats the seed and comes over and drops the seeds in the garden. So that means volunteer means it comes up. You didn't plant it there. You don't know how
No,
to
it
get there.
it just
Okay.
was a gift from nature, you might say.
Okay. Well, that's the best because they're free.
Yes.
It's been nice talking with you today.
Nice talking with you.
And how about some cold? You got anything cold to drink in the house?
Absolutely.
I'm headed that way.
All
I'm
righty.
going. The sun's starting to get hot now. Come on.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank Valerie Vowell-Canup and the Outside In Daily Nursery. Until we meet again, good gardening.